everyone. My name is Reverend Carole, and these are Thoughts of a Shaken Pastor Season 3. In this season, we are looking at the School of Hard Knocks and the whole concept of reconstructing. These are people who have been Christians for a long time and for whatever reason decide that they're working out of faith and what they had held as true for so long is no longer true for them. This got me thinking, what would make a person who strongly believed now strongly unbelieve? We came up with a list of reasons that people give for walking out of faith. And my question became, are there people who have held on to faith even though they've gone through the same experiences? And so today, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you the Mbaus, David and Susan, as they share with us their own journey. Welcome, guys.
So we're the Mbaus. I'm Davy. This is Sue, my lovely wife. I will let the lady go first and say a bit about herself.
So I am Sue Mbau, married to one husband, David Mbau. I am a wife, a mother. God has blessed us with two lovely children. And we are born-again Christians. We believe in Christ. Our home founded, and we know that we cannot make it without you. So I got born again in 2006. Yeah, 2006. I was from a Christian background. My parents were Christians, but my mom was first generation Christian. So I didn't have much exposure to Christianity. So I had gone on a stint and I just went on the wrong curve and I took all the wrong turns before I met Christ. Let me just say, kama si grace ya God, I was on another road and only the grace helped me to come back.
So I'm born again. Been born again my whole life. Brought up in a Christian home. My mom was that Sunday school teacher, my Sunday school teacher. So there's no skiving church or Sunday school. So I had to get born again. So I can't know even what date I got born again. I was like, I must have been like in class 2 or something. So I've been born again my whole life. But once I grew up and I got to really understand what it's about, it was already a part of me. So I don't have that date where guys make me feel guilty that when we get into heaven, we have to check in with the date that we got saved. So I'm born again. That's my first and foremost thing that I think makes me up. I'm a businessman. I'm a father to 2 girls, lovely girls, and a husband to 1 wife. Mm-hmm. Yes, and and Jesus is Lord. Yes, like Apa hatutoki. For salvation, this is it for us.
Yes. We met through a good friend of ours, and because I was, how do I put this? I did not find him very interesting because I was on another path. He's from a different background from mine. I was on a path where I was partying, I was all over. And he was cool, calm, collected. So I used to find him boring. So I used to run away from him, and I ran away for many years. For many years. But it's the calmness. He had a sense of calmness that I really would pick on. I'm like, hey, this guy is different. Because the people I knew out here were not cool, calm, collected. Him, he was. And that is what got me to want to know more about him. And so we started like having a close relationship, maybe in 1998, but it wasn't close. It was those ones of just try, then try. So we went on this stint for about 7 years. Yes, 7 years. On, off, not sure what you want, on, off. Then something very drastic happened, and from there, everything in our life turned around. So I was not born again, but he was on a path where he was trying to find himself again in Christ. And so he made a decision and went back to Jesus. And so when he did that, he left me. And in my quest for being angry and being upset at how this thing has gone, I was very quick to tell God, you have done me in. This guy has left me, now I've been left single again. I don't want anything to do with you. But God, God is amazing, because 4 months after that, the journey that my life took, I found Christ. And from there, it was a done deal. I am born again, and I love Jesus. Let me just put it like that.
It's interesting to hear her say that I was on this straight and narrow road, but I think I met at a time where I can call it backslidden in my life. So, and I think without taking that detour, I don't think I'll ever have met her, because that detour is what took me, to where she is at. There's no way we were going to meet. Our paths were never going to meet. So actually we met at work, and then I followed it up through, because after I found out who she was and what she does in her free time and partying and clubbing, and that wasn't my thing before. But because at backslidden kidogo, I had space for that, you know. So I think it just played out in that I don't know how to put this politely, that I think God used me to just go and reach out into the bar and get this girl and just show her into the fold and show her that there's a different kind of life, you know. So yes, I was kind of backslidden then, and then I came. And the one thing that was really eating me up was I grew up all along knowing, you know, I have this picture in my head, and I know for sure there's no way I'm going to end up. I knew I was on like a small stint of just rebellion with God, and there was no way. I knew this was not home for me, you know, and I was going to go home at some point when I finished my holiday with the devil. So I could not, when we went out and we started getting serious in our dating, and then the only thing that was scary for me was knowing that there's no way I was going to end up marrying someone who's not saved, or someone who's not with me in the same boat. And that was a big issue for me, because I was already in love with her, but then I knew there was no way that was going to work out. So it was a place where it was a very tough place for me to be. So that's when I kind of started drifting away from her, but at the same time praying. Flashback, just after I cleared high school, we used to jog in the morning with my friends. I grew up in Buruburu. So we used to jog around the estate in the morning at 6 in the morning. Then we end up at East, the church, do our morning prayers for like an hour, and then jog back home. I remember very well during those prayer days that we used to do those things in the morning. I remember my one very specific prayer, one of them that I used to make, was to tell God that I'm praying for my future wife, you know, who I do not know, who I have no clue about, but I'm praying for her today, so that in the future, I'll end up having a godly family and bringing up godly children and everything. So I just prayed blindly like that. But you know what? In my backsliding moments, coming back to where I was and dating her, and then I was confused now because I'm about to get into this thing with her. But God came through, you know. I just stood my ground. I told her one day, my dear, my holiday is done with the devil. I'm going back home. So it was painful. It was a hard thing to say. But I'd been praying for her like on the side, and I think I didn't even know she was looking at me, and I don't even think I was even reflecting or projecting God in any way. But Ukombele is when I realized, hey, Kumbe, when I think I'm in the mud, God is still shining through, you know, in so many ways because of your lifestyle. So that's what happened. Then later on, she followed through. I was really trying not to coerce her and push her into getting saved, you know, because I knew very well this was just the last thing you want to do, coerce someone to get into it, because she'll just say yes, so we get married, and then, oh God, here I am where I didn't want to be, you know. So I didn't even mention to her anything. So I thank God, because God reached out to her. She was set up, I would want to say that, at a place of Jebo. Something dramatic really happened at a place of work. It didn't. She got into a thing with her boss, and it didn't end very well. So she was fired, and it ended up being a court case. So it really shook her, and God really put her in a corner. And maybe she might want to say the bits and pieces about that, so that I don't I don't give her the things that she doesn't want to get out there.
What happened with while coming to meet Devi, I was at a place in my life where I was looking for answers and looking for my satisfaction was in like friends, partying. That was my joy. Let me tell you, I would party and party hard. For me, Devi was boring because he's the kind of person who's like, okay, let's go for a movie, let's go for lunch, let's go for dinner. And then after that, he's like, oh, no, you need to get home early. You don't need to go. I'm like, what? I'm going home now. No, 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 no. You go, me, I'll see you tomorrow. Tukiachana, ha ha, I bounce, I get into the club. He'll see me the next morning and he's wondering, oh my God, you didn't go home? Because I was... I was on a roll. I had reached a place in my life where I really didn't care. I was just enjoying life as it is. I'll tell you this right now because many people don't know this. I was an alcoholic. I would drink like there's no tomorrow, and I would party like there's no tomorrow. And then I would wake up in the morning and regret the consequences of my previous day action. And for me, that was normal. It was like, oh, party. Oh, yeah, that happened. Okay, sour, moving on swiftly. We go again, we drink, we do the same thing. So for me, it was at that point he came and I was like, this guy is quite annoying. He's asking me hard questions. Me, I don't want somebody who's asking me hard questions like, what do you think about your future? I'm like, what? I don't want to think about my future. You leave me. Let me first enjoy life. So where I was working, it was a very nice job. And so we used to get very nice commission. So money was not a problem. I was high roller, let me put it like that. But circumstances that led to me leaving Jobo were not very nice. And so we got into this thing with my boss and it even had to become a court case. But what happened after the incidents is that I developed or I got a spirit of fear to a point I could not leave my house. I was like a prisoner in my house. I would always be high because I didn't want to face reality. I would always, if I don't get alcohol, I would steal money from anybody who comes to visit me. I would find a way of removing money from their pocket so that I can be able to get money to buy alcohol or buy drugs so that I'm always high. I never get to be sane or sober. And so it was a very bad time for me because I became so fearful to a point I could hear things. In my head, there were voices. I would see things and I lived. My curtains were always drawn. People never used to come and visit. And if you come to visit, you'd have to have a specific knock because I'd not open for you. I'm like, I don't know who you are, I don't care. But I had a very real spirit of fear. All this while, my mom and my very good friends were praying for me. And I remember there's a day my mom came with a very good friend of hers and they really prayed for me. And I'm like, these guys are wasting my time. I remember even telling them, please go. Because as they continued to pray, I was continuing to get so... The battle within was getting worse. But I didn't know what it was. So one day, how God works, the only channel that was operating at that time on our TV was TBN those days. So I'm seated and I'm listening to a preacher go, as I used to say, go on and on and on and on about whatever it was he was talking about. But that time I'd reached that place in my life where I was tired. I can't deal, I'm tired. Physically, emotionally, I am drained. I never sleep. I never used to sleep because the minute I close my eyes like this, my brain is activated and the things that are happening in there, oh my God, they are dark. So I never used to sleep. So one day I'm listening to this preacher and he's like, just tell God what is in your deepest part of your heart. And I'm like, let me try. So I told God, if you are God for real, today I want to sleep. Because that's one thing I was not doing. I want to sleep and I want to sleep when I'm not high and I want to sleep when I'm not drunk. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I slept from 2 to around 7. He had a key, so when he came home in the evening, he opened the door and he found me asleep. Should have seen the expression on his face. He's like, you are asleep. I'm like, yeah. Are you okay? So he's sniffing me, but he doesn't want me to know he's sniffing me because he knows I have to be high. I was like, I'm okay. I'm easy. How did that happen? I told him, I'll tell you tomorrow. Meanwhile, I'm feeling guilty because I'm like, nah, it can't be. God anipendi that much. Amesikia maombi yangu. That small primate of help me sleep. God amesikia. Mimi. Yani, when I look at myself from where I was coming from, and this miracle that had happened to me, there was no way I could believe that God would love someone like me. There was no way. So I did a test run. Let me put it like that. So the next day I told God, so he went to work, everything is easy, and I'm like, okay, God, Jana, my body was tired. That couldn't have been you. It was a surprise. If it's really you, I'll sleep again, same hours from same time today. And that's when I'll confirm it is you. So I went about my business, cleaning, 2 o'clock, pap, slept like a child. Woke up again at 7 o'clock in the evening. And this time round when I woke up, a light bulb moment, pap. I was like, no, that is Christ. Thankfully, at that point in time, Davy had a friend. There's a pastor who's called Pastor Pete Odera. Pete Odera had started a church, and they had reached out to him and told him, just come to church. Let's come, listen to the sermon. And also at that time, Hope FM had just rolled out. So we were like, so from there, everything in my life just changed. So I logged on. I plugged in. Let me put it like that. I plugged in. TV, TBN. Radio, Hope FM. Sunday, church at Waterbrook. Everything around me changed. Because we were living in Nairobi West, I started going for fellowship in the evening at ICC. And my life did a 380 turn. And from there, Yesu ni Bwana. Let me put it like that.
One of the small, big miracles for me, because I'm those Christians who've been hunting for miracles everywhere I go. You know, even in the crusades, I'm the first guy. I'm just thinking, Mazia, I need to be the first guy there so that something hits me, that I'm slain or something happens. Those things have never happened to me, you know. So I still doubt, Mazia, am I saved, you know? So one of the things I cling on for my whole life is that our marriage, I grew up in Buruburu Baptist Church, all right? So there's this deacon who, when I was a small boy, and he's still there, so he's an old man now. So guess what? I'd gone off, I'd disappeared from our neighborhood, I'd grown up, I'd moved out of the home. And now I'm looking to get married, no one knows about me, even the guys at home don't know anything about me. And then guess what? God just shows this old man that in his dream, me getting married on that specific day I'm supposed to get married, you know? And he calls me up and he tells me, you know what? Yeah, that's Mr. Geshongo, yeah? Yeah, and he calls me up and he tells me, you know what, David? I think he was in SA then. He was in South Africa. He tells me, you know what? I saw a dream. You guys are getting married. So we sent him an invite, and that's when he got back and said, you know what? I was still going to come. You know, God showed me you guys are going to get married. And that's my biggest miracle. I feel like a loser in Christianity, Annie. That's the only miracle. Physical, big miracle. No, there are many more. I just mean tangible things that I can. You know, dramatic things. I want to be slain. I want guys to get healed. I want legs to be pulled out. You know? So we got married. We get married. Church wedding, definitely. I thank God. Thank you, God, that my prayer was answered. My joggings are not for nothing. Finally, I have someone who's with me in the same boat, in salvation, and we get married. And so we decided we're going to have a honeymoon first before we get any kids. So we gave ourselves 2-3 years before we try to get any babies in the way. And immediately after that, so we decided this is it. So let's do this. We planned out. I'm the planner. So I've planned out our lives. So I've said these are the years we need to make babies, so that then when we look at them, by the time we're hitting 45, you know, the kids are out of school, so everything is nice. So we're back on holiday. So we start trying to make a baby.
So that we are not grandparents
Yeah.
going to see kids and they're like, no, that's my shosho. Now when
Yeah. And you can't run, you know, and we've been invited to go and run with the other parents, and the parents are like 15 years younger, and it's not fair. And they don't have any, you know, so... So we start trying to make babies, and the baby is not coming, you know. So, I mean, it's 7 years we've been trying. I think it was 7 years, I think. But that journey of trying wasn't a very easy journey, right? We've had miscarriages, we've had, now even no, blighted over. So, I mean, we had a couple of those on that journey, and it wasn't very interesting, you know, because we were really looking forward to it. And for me, I'm also looking at my numbers, and I'm saying, God, it's like 7 years. My plan is busted, you know. And now, are you saying we don't get any kids, you know? So it was a very hard journey for us, especially being born again and wondering where God is, looking left, right, and center. Everyone who does not want to get pregnant is getting pregnant, you know. God's children, they want a godly family. We can't even get one baby, you know. So I'm trying to make sense of this God, and luckily the only thing that came through for me is just knowing that God then says that his plans are not ours, you know. It's nice hearing that in a sermon when it doesn't touch on you, very nice. But when then you have to then swallow that bitter pill and make it and get it now to work for you, now that's the place where, you know, the rubber hits the road and you have to make it happen for you, you know. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for us. But at the end of the day, I had accepted that, I mean, God has everything in his hands. I threw away my plans. I used to be this guy who plans out my things to the letter, you know. So I think that's one of the things God was trying to break also from me, you know, trying to be in control of everything, you know, every situation. So that was the first big thing that made me just know that, you know what, once we're on this ship, there's someone who's driving this ship, you know, and it's not us. So that was kind of bumpy, and I think even a bit more bumpy for someone here.
You see, now I've come from a point of being extremely wild to a point of finding Christ, and there's this sense of peace, tranquility. Christian, I'm born again, saved. Everything is working out godly. So even on my journey, I'm like, sisa hii nimeokoka, so everything's supposed to be nyweos. Everything's supposed to be easy. And so I get to this place where I'm like, okay, God, thank you, we are married. In fact, even to the point of getting married, remember I told you I got born again in 2006. Between January 2006 and May 2006, I was born again, I was fired, I had January 2006 to May 2006, I was fired, I had a spirit of fear, I got born again, and then I got married. So within 5 months, I had hit milestones like this in my life. So even coming to a point of now getting married, I'm like, it's going to be okay. So 2007, I remember I got pregnant, and that was awesome. It was a victory, and we were so happy about getting pregnant. But at 12 weeks, I lost the pregnancy. And it was so hard because now I was like, okay, God, why? Why would this happen? We are your children. You know, there was so many questions going on in my mind at that time. But then I was like, it's okay. He's still God. So that was 2007. So 2008, we got pregnant again. And it was at 12 weeks, and I lost it again. But this time round, as we were going to hospital, we were talking about it, and I was like, you know what, maybe God doesn't want us to have children. Maybe it's not his intention for us to have children. Maybe we need to look at a plan where we can adapt. That's a good plan. So we don't have to go through all this emotional stress. So we went through the process, hospital, and I remember this particular one, the procedure was so painful, I had to be at home for days because of the process. And I questioned many things at that time. I was like, they say he's a good God. What is good about God here now? There's nothing. So I'm like, why am I holding on? See, I just go back to what I know. Because now I'm at that place where I'm like, this is not working. I thought it would, it's not. But still, I just decided, no, I'll still hold on to Jehovah because he has a plan for us. So 2008, that went on like that and it was over. 2009, I got pregnant. But this time I decided I'm not going to tell him first. So I go through the process alone. I'm like, I tell my very good friends, I'm like, please pray. I really don't want to. Because you'd see when you tell him when I would tell him I'm pregnant, I would see the excitement. And then when we have to go to hospital for a procedure, you'd see the heart, the pain. I'm like, I don't want to take him through that. So this time around, I'll just wait, sit it out. There was no sitting out. When the pain checked in, I needed to tell him. So I called him, I told him something's a mess. I didn't tell you this before, but I was pregnant, and now I think something is wrong. So he's coming home all panicked and upset at me because he was like, it's not your journey to carry alone. It's our journey. You need to let me know. So we went to hospital, and this time around, it was just not a miscarriage. It was something they call bursted ovum. The procedure for getting that out of your system is horrific. Horrific. And that for me was that. In fact, I remember at that time, the experience was so nasty because he couldn't come to me fast enough. My mother-in-law is the one who came first. And my mother-in-law, remember, she's a Sunday school teacher. She was praying, she was on her knees, she was covering me. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to hear about this God of yours. Shh. She's like, okay, Susan. She's swearing on the side. And I'm telling David, tell your mom to stop praying around me. I really don't know why she's praying. And she's like, we will pray. We will pray. So we went to hospital, did the procedure. And when we were going home, because I was so high on the drugs, I remember. I had been given drugs, and when we were going home, I was so high. And I remember telling my mom, since unaombanga sana, so you tell that God of yours to stay with his children. I don't want them. I don't need them. Since he's decided I'm not good enough, or we're not good enough to be parents, let him stay with them. It's okay. I'm easy. I'll be fine. But that was coming from a point of bitterness, a point of pain. And it was painful. My heart was aching so much at that time. But God is a God of comfort. Because 2 days after that, somebody I'd never met, never seen, came to my house on instruction from somebody who knows Davy and brought me a book by Dobson. It's called When God Does Not Make Sense. That book was my point of, you read, you're like this. And as you continue to read, the onion is peeling and the pain is wearing off. And I reached that place where I was like, he is sovereign. He knows why, and he knows you. He knows you, Kabisa. So you are enveloped in his care. You just have to let go. Because holding on to the pain, you will not make it right. You need to release this pain to Christ. And so I released it. And from there, I had so much peace in my heart. In the back of my mind, I knew he's going to give us a child at his time. And for me, the peace of getting to that place surpasses all other anger, bitterness, jealousy, because now I was seeing my friends getting pregnant and getting babies. Everything just became peace. Everything. 2010. Now, this is fast forward. 2010, I gave birth to a child. Remember, that was 2019 when I just let go.
2009.
Yes, 2009. But 2010, it was complete. I carried the pregnancy to term. It was a very easy pregnancy. No complications. I only had craving for githeri and Coke. And I would fight with him. I'm like, go get for me Coke in the middle of the night. There was no Glovo then. Things were hard. I was like, so why didn't you tell me earlier? I don't know, I just want Coke. But I gave birth to a baby girl in 2010. And for us, that was it was a beautiful moment for us. After everything we had gone through, we were like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this beautiful girl. It was nice.
It was nice until the nurse, after the baby is born. I remember very well. The nurse came in. The baby has just been born. Then some nurse who's just not even strolling. Let me just call it loitering around. Just comes and just blurts out and says, "This child has Down syndrome." And I'm like, what?